I think Web3 is easiest to define as the next iteration of the internet. And in reality, it's a combination of emerging technologies that we're all sort of starting to see work together in different ways. And sort of the big categories are, as you know, probably well aware right now, AI or artificial intelligence, which has exploded onto the scene. XR or extended reality, which encompasses virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. Internet of Things, which is connected devices, and blockchain. And blockchain probably burst on and was the start of the Web3 movement, and might be sort of the most foundational layer in connecting all of these different emerging technologies together. Yeah, well, Web one, we go back to the beginning of the internet. It actually started in 1969 when the first computers on the west coast of America were connected, Stanford and UCLA, and they used the protocols that we sort of use today across the internet. They then connected to Cambridge in the UK, and that was the birth of the internet. And really, at that point, it was about putting text onto a system that could be shared with other people. And interestingly, it took 20 years for the proposal for the World Wide Web to be written. So Tim Berners-Lee wrote the proposal for the World Wide Web, said he needed two developers for 6 months to complete the project, which was pretty cool. Developers underestimating the time needed for projects. And the first web page was in 1991, and so the birth of the Web 1, was about information and just being able to access it and share it. And as that evolved, and we went into Web 2, it became more interactive and engaging. It had more functionality in it. So we saw the birth of things like e-commerce and transactions online. And of course, people said, no one will buy anything online. You never put your credit card details into a website. We don't think about that twice now. And it also gave us the birth of social media and other platforms where we could create content. So we went from Web 1, which was just read and write, to Web 2, which was read, write, and create and transact. And the challenges in Web 2 were that it became heavily centralized. And if you look at even the internet traffic today, the majority of internet traffic goes through sort of 3 to 5 companies. The big tech companies in our world, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. The majority of Google, of course, the majority of traffic goes through these sites. It became heavily centralized. The motto in Web 2 was, if the product's free, you are the product, because the big companies wanted your data and they wanted to sell that and to use that and to monetize it. And we know now there weren't always the right decisions made against that. So Web3 is like a kickback to that, a pushback, and it's trying to build on everything that's gone before. And it's looking at adding some new things into it, which is reducing centralization. So how do we create systems that aren't overly reliant on a small group of people that might not make the best decisions for the participants of that network? And how do we move into a place where, ownership online, the ownership of digital items or digitizing ownership, can be done in a better way? So that's really Web3. And if you extrapolate that also going forward, I think we're going to see a big part in the automation phase as well, with things like AI in Web3 adding this sort of decentralization, this ownership, and this automation stack onto what we've got already. If you take blockchain as one of the sort of emerging technology pieces, I think we're seeing a huge amount in loyalty being done, being built using the blockchain, and companies like Starbucks, Nike, Adidas, Ticketmaster, they're all currently looking at their loyalty schemes, and they're looking at new ways to build those schemes on the blockchain. Now, why are they doing that? They're doing that because so much value is left in loyalty schemes and it's not actually used or pulled out. So how do you create a new way of doing loyalty that sort of actually delivers more value to your consumers, and also I think is a bit more fun as well. And so, we're seeing that at the moment with Nike and how they're engaging with customers. And the other benefits that Web3 loyalty is trying to achieve is trying to make it easier to transfer loyalty within an ecosystem. So again, if we both have points for a coffee shop, at the moment, it's quite hard for me to transfer them to you if I want to buy you a coffee, or if I want to donate them to a charity, or if I want to use them in a partner, brand or shop. It's all contained and boxed in these wall gardens. So they're looking at how do we create more transferable loyalty. And then there's some really interesting stuff happening with token gating. So this is where, if you have, let's say, an NFT, which is a token on a blockchain, right? And that could be linked to anything. So that could be a membership card that the NFT represents, or it could be reward points. Then me as a separate brand, I can create a product or a service and say anyone that owns that NFT in their wallet can come and buy this product from me, or get this discount, or get this special experience. And I don't have to go and set up a commercial agreement, and I don't have to exchange customer data, and I don't have to make really heavy customizations on my site in terms of lookups and everything else. All I got to do is put a little check to see if your digital wallet holds this token, and then I let you through. And this token gating aspect is going to be, I think, a really big part of how brands get access to new groups of consumers, and in effect do these really fast brand partnerships. So loyalty definitely one area, and then of course the new generative AI tools that are out is the other big area, and getting to grips on how they can help you create better content, extend the amount of content that you're able to produce, summarize existing content that's out there. There's a whole myriad of ways that can be done, and it isn't just putting a prompt into ChatGPT and hoping to get brilliant content out, because it doesn't work that way. Like, it's a dance between you and the tool, and you've got to train it on your tone of voice and your style and what you want to write. But if you get that process right, you can create really good content, and you can create a lot more of it than you can without those tools. They're looking at how they keep consumers and fans connected to the brand when they're not buying trainers. So how do you do that? How do you keep that loyalty and that engagement? How do you bring fans in and start to co-create products with them as well? So, and how do you create this little community where there's anticipation and there's a bit of a journey that you're taken on, rather than just getting sent a newsletter? And so what they did was they created this dot swoosh community. And if you got in early, you could get a membership, which was an NFT, which meant you were in the community. They ran a competition where you could write a creative brief or apply to a creative brief. And they selected 3 people from that competition to co-create a new set of Nike trainers. So they ran a competition, brought community members in, co-created these new Nike trainers. Then they airdropped another NFT to a third of the people that were part of that community. And that NFT allowed you to buy a new digital Nike shoebox for like $20, which would be opened in June. And it would contain a pair of Nikes from 1982 to the future. And you would get a digital version of those Nikes, which, again, in future, it's probably going to hold some sort of weight or access or utility. And the point is that you're going on this journey with them. You're going on this immersive journey. They've done it really, really well. I managed to get one of the boxes yesterday, and a 42-year-old man getting a digital sneaker box of Nike. But it's quite intriguing, and it's quite exciting, and it keeps you connected to that brand and the story and what's happening and what's going on. And I think it's just different ways of engaging with consumers and keeping them interacting with your brand that make it a lot more interesting than the current loyalty schemes. If you look at your business today and what you're trying to do, I think sort of identifying the areas, knowing on a top level what sort of AI and this technology can do, right? So let's take that as an example. We know it can help create content. We know it can code. We know it can analyze larger amounts of data. We know blockchain technology and the like can build more transparent systems and make it easier in future to integrate with other systems. And so there's these sort of host of changes that are happening. But for me, it'd be every business is going to be different. Which areas today, if you increased your efficiency or output by 30% would deliver the most value, or which areas, are you struggling to find the right fit in terms of people or skills or teams for, or which areas you think in future link to the trends that your industry is going to, go through, and narrow down on those and then look through that lens at what's available as a starting point. Because like I say, there's so much stuff out there today. Even working in it full time, you get bombarded and sort of, lost at times because there's just so many new things coming out. So again, identifying like what's important in your business to start with, and then narrowing down would be the best approach. The future is a future that is ever growing in terms of digital and what it will do. And that's a nuanced debate as well. Is it good or bad? It's probably both. However, I think the next generations are going to place much more value on digital items than the older ones do today. And so we're in this transitional point. But no, I think the metaverse isn't one thing. It's today it's a combination of online spaces, these virtual worlds, games, it's a whole combination of things where ultimately we're going to interact, we're going to have social interactions, we're going to work, we're going to relax, we're going to do different things. It's going to be a more immersive version of what we've got today. And I think Apple are bringing out their headset fairly soon. Be really interesting to see what happens off the back of that, particularly with that brand and the adoption. But I feel like it's coming, because if you've ever used VR, it's one of those things that you put on and you use, you take it off and you go, oh my God, that is crazy. And you sort of go, why hasn't this taken off? Like, and I think when it's that sort of transformational, the technology, it does sometimes take time. It does sometimes just need a build up of things to happen, or the right brand like Apple to release something. So, I think we get there. I hope we're not all plugged into the, sort of Ready Player One style to the metaverse the whole time. I think that isn't going to be a good thing, but I think it will be a big step forward in terms of those experiences and what it can deliver, both for work and for play and connection and all those things. I'm involved in a lot of Web3 loyalty, and it's really interesting to see the developments there and how using this new technology and using Web2 technology as well, right? It's not exclusive. This combination is able to produce sort of a new way of engaging with fans and consumers. So I think that's interesting. I think we're going to see an amazing revolution of increased efficiency and production through AI. And I'm really interested in the intersection of blockchain and AI and what happens and how we regulate AI and how we manage to, try to do our best to solve the ethical debate around it and the alignment debate. Really, really big things that people are trying to solve. But I think out of this phase that we're in right now, Web3, there's many, many more people trying to build products and services that deliver value to consumers. And that's very different from 4 to 6 years ago, when it was mainly speculation about how much money you could make. And so I think out of this phase, we see a lot of products that are created and a lot of people using them and they don't even know they're Web3. And I think that that will be the real test that it's got to where it needs to be.